And I should get the little indicator. There we are. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
That's his
Hi,
mom?
Mom.
Yeah, we're his mom, so we could play it when we're back.
Yeah.
Oh, how,
And it-
oh, nice, okay.
It's, Mom's able to tell me what I did get right.
Oh, all right.
That's why we recorded.
Okay, I think.
Okay. Well, we are, if you remember from our agenda, which I just happen to have a copy right here for some reason. We were in the middle of the Tale of Two Kings. And we spent quite a bit of time on Ahaz, get some of the history of Ahaz. What were some of the issues that we talked about? This is the check to see if anybody pays attention. What were some of the issues we talked about with Ahaz?
He was not nice.
He wasn't
It-
faithful,
He's not nice, he's not faithful,
wasn't obedient.
wasn't obedient,
Didn't rely on God.
Syria.
didn't rely on God. Someone else said something, I missed it.
He,
Yeah.
he chose to do it himself.
Chose to try to control his own future, didn't have faith in God for the future. Yeah, didn't ignore what Isaiah said, tried to ally with. You guys got it. Okay, we're caught up. We can go forward now. But what I thought I would do, because
I've learned.
I'm on the wrong one again. Give me a second.
I've learned from him how to take notes.
I know I restarted this correct. Oh, I hit F5, not Control F5. That's why. Okay, give me a second here.
Oh, he's got the
Good,
grammar.
fly through.
We can have this discussion again.
I think I can go right to a
See if
slide.
anyone's changed their minds since
Or-
last time.
No, Harry, let's not repeat. Let's try this again. All right, that looks a little bit better. And then. Okay,
We did that song last week.
I know, isn't that amazing? Didn't come through in the video very well, but I appreciate you all singing it. When we're here. Okay, so I said I'm a. I don't like that in the middle of the screen, but I don't know how to get that. But, I'm a little bit more of a visual learner, so what I'm gonna try to do is this visually. So we talked about Ahaz. Okay, I want to represent him with a box. And if you recall, Pekah, who was the king in the northern kingdom, along with Rezin, who was the king of Syria, they were threatened by Assyria, and they thought if we can go take over the southern kingdom, we can get their resources, we'll be
Yeah.
stronger, we'll be able to put up a better fight. So that's his immediate threat, this immediate threat with the king of the northern kingdom, Pekah, and Rezin, the king of Assyria. And then, of course, surrounding them all is Assyria. Assyria is this emerging empire, ruthless, brutal, powerful, rich. We talked about how they take over a territory, move those people out so they lose their national identity, move other people in, so you become a new government that's loyal now to Assyria. That's sort of their strategy. And Ahaz, because he's so threatened by the northern kingdom, he does the wrong thing. He allies with Assyria and says, help me out. I'll pay you tribute. I'll pay you money. You come and help me out because I'm afraid of what the northern kingdom is going to do. So, the enemy of my enemy is my friend is essentially how that works out. So those are the threats that Judah faced in the southern kingdom. Now, what happens? Well, Ahaz is given this prophecy by Isaiah that says, unto you a virgin will bring forth a child. In a very short period of time, these two stumps of firewood, Pekah and Rezin, will be gone away with. We had that image of the stumps of firewood. And so in his place is Hoshea. Hoshea takes over from Pekah. He's now the king of the northern kingdom. Assyria is still there, still threatening. And what Hoshea does is he becomes a vassal to Assyria. I will pay you tribute every year and you don't kill me. It's essentially the agreement. But that gets more and more cumbersome. And so he decides, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that anymore. And so he sort of rebels against the king of Assyria. And of course, what happens when you rebel against a king who's more powerful than you? Boom. And so Assyria then conquers the northern kingdom, takes those people away to these other lands and bring other people in. And we sort of read that story of what happens when that happens. Now, it's a little out of sequence because you notice Ahaz has an ending. And it's actually before the boom. It's before Hoshea comes. But I read that to bring the difference between the two kings in. And so today and from here on, we'll now focus on Hezekiah, who takes over from Ahaz. And so this is sort of the thing that I want to
So Hezekiah.
I want us to understand. Hezekiah is the son of Ahaz. He's about 22 when all of this threat with the northern kingdom comes. So he's in the royal court. He's in the throne room. He's with his dad. He sees what his dad does. He sees these threats. And the question is, have conditions gotten better for Hezekiah?
Yes,
They have?
well, in the long run, a little bit, yeah, because he was a man of faith.
Oh, no, we haven't got to him yet.
Oh, you
I'm
had-
just talking about the surrounding area.
Oh,
Has
I
any
thought
of
you
that
meant him
improved
as
for
he
him?
was ruling when he was.
No, no, no.
Oh,
No, he
okay,
takes over.
okay,
Has anything changed?
no,
Just in that.
No. In fact, you notice when he starts, the northern kingdom's still there. But then Assyria rolls up. So now he doesn't even have the buffer of the northern kingdom. Assyria is right there, right at his borders. And we even read last week where some of the cities in Judah were actually attacked by Assyria as well. And so we had that image of being up to his neck, that Jerusalem was up to their neck with Assyria. So Hezekiah has the same conditions and maybe a little bit worse because they're closer now. Assyria is much, much closer. And I think that gets us back into our story. That's enough background to get us focused in on where we are when Hezekiah takes over. I'm going to read the first couple of verses of 2 Kings 18. And do you want to start? Yeah, we'll run this way.
In
And I'm
the,
sorry that thing's in the way. I don't know how to get rid of it now.
in the 3rd year of the reign of Hoshea, son of Elah over Israel, Hezekiah, son of Ahaz, became king of Judah. Thank you.
Yeah.
He was 25, my story. He was 25 years old when he became king, and he reigned in Jerusalem 29 years. His mother's name was Abi, the daughter of Zechariah, and he did what was right in the eyes of the Lord, just as his father David had done.
And you recognize, of course, that his father is Ahaz, not David, but he's bringing him back in line with a king like David, following Yahweh. Ahaz didn't, but we have this, the way Isaiah writes, or the way the Kings writes this, he's back in the fold in the line that worships Yahweh. Next slide.
He removed the high places, shattered the sacred pillars, and cut down the Azariah poles. He also demolished the bronze snake called Nahustan that Moses had made, for up to that time the Israelites had burned incense to it.
Yeah, so the Asherah poles were a pagan god or goddess, I don't remember which goddess that they worshiped, probably for fertility or something like that. And then Hustan was this snake, so they're worshiping the snake, they're worshiping the creature, not the creator. So those are idols, and so that's what Hezekiah begins to do, and then the next one.
Hezekiah trusted in the Lord, the God of Israel. No king of Judah was like him, either before him or after him. He remained faithful to the Lord and did not turn from following him. He kept the commandments that the Lord had given Moses. Shall I continue? And the Lord was with Hezekiah, and he prospered wherever he went. He rebelled against the king of Assyria and refused to serve him. He defeated the Philistines as far as Gaza and its borders, from watchtower to fortified city.
Okay, so he takes over, he makes some changes. Y'all got that? 8 verses, y'all understand that? Good, because we have a quiz. Here's our quiz. How would you assess Hezekiah? Just in reading those 8 verses.
Man of God,
Okay, he's a man of God, and you got that from which verse?
Bloodline of David.
7,
Huh?
7.
Bloodline of
7.
David.
So somewhere in 7, you said he's a man of God.
The Lord was with him.
The
Okay,
Lord was with him. And he prospered wherever he went.
Right, right, okay, great, great. Any other evidence that you would say that he's a man of God?
There was nobody before him or after him.
Okay, that's in this verse here too, I think, right?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm not on the screen, that's why you're not seeing my mouse.
And I.
Yeah. Yeah, right here. There's no king of Judah like him before or after, yeah. Yeah. Good guy. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, well, all right, you all got an A+ on that. I'm sorry?
You need to give credit to his mother.
Absolutely.
Did come from his father.
Yeah.
Which is Ahaz's wife.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing what wives have to put up with.
Yeah.
How was he part of David's bloodline?
I'm sorry?
How was he part of David's bloodline? From his father or?
Yeah, from his father. The king's handout, if you want to hold that up just real quick. Yeah, so the line of Judah is the left-hand
Davis.
column of that, yeah, yeah. And so that's the line of David.
Okay.
And so they're all in the bloodline there. All right, second question, you did so well on that one. What actions showed faith? Some of these you've already pointed out, but can you see some other actions?
He got rid of the idols.
He got rid of the idols. So he's gonna have faith in Yahweh, not these things.
He
Okay,
rebelled against the king of Syria and refused to serve him.
right,
Mhm.
right. So he's going out of these alliances that were there. He's gonna be independent. He's gonna trust in God. Good. Next question. You guys are doing really well on this quiz. What actions show obedience? This is kind of repetitive because we've already seen some of these.
We followed the commandments,
You follow the commandments in verse 6 and 7.
6 or
I
7. yeah.
talked about that. And then which actions show zeal?
He got rid of the snake.
Yeah, he got rid of the snake and the Asherah poles. Yeah, he's zealous for the Lord. He's making changes. I would recommend as a background, 2 Chronicles 29-31, and they talk a lot about all of the reforms that Hezekiah did. What I found kind of interesting about him is he's in the same sort of crucible that Ahaz was in, with threats all around. I'm a king, I gotta protect my people, gotta protect my nation. Assyria's out there. All of these idolatrous pagan nations are influencing my people. How do I handle this situation? And what I found remarkable about Hezekiah is as those threats come closer, his faith gets stronger. And I wonder if that's the same for us. Is that how we handle those threats that come in our life, those doubts, those circumstances? Do we get more faithful when those come closer? Or are we more challenged? I'm just throwing that out there and see what people would say.
I, somewhere heard, that they were up to their necks. Okay, but it didn't, who's the head? Didn't overtake the head.
Yeah.
Who's the head?
Yeah.
Okay, so. Even if you're up to your neck, God's still in control.
God's still in control. Yeah, yeah,
Holy.
yeah. Are you curious what happens next? Anybody? Otherwise, we'll go home, but I mean.
Marla wants to say something. Marla?
I think
Marla.
I'm looking at the rest of the story though, because Hezekiah actually, it's not that he didn't trust the Lord, but when he prayed for him to live 15 years longer, and God granted that prayer, that really didn't turn out so well.
I'm not even covering that section.
But
His obedience, his faith and everything, but it seems like maybe his faith wavered a little when he prayed to live longer.
Yeah,
And that is what we all do all the time. I
Right,
guess, is, you
right.
know, Make it right, do what I want.
right. Do what I want. Yeah. No, it's fine. He has two prayers and I chose one of them and that wasn't the one I chose. But I will commend you to read that on your own and give a book report next week.
Paul's got a study coming up.
We actually heard a whole sermon on this once. From
Yeah,
and so it's always kind of stuck in there.
yeah. Well, I think that's probably indicative of our life as well, right?
Yeah, we're not perfect, right?
Yeah,
And
we have faith, but
we also-
doubt and
we
threat
have
and all
doubt,
that, it's
yeah.
there, it's always there. And it's a fight. The thing the Truth Project that you guys did this summer, you know, talks about that spiritual battle, that battle, the cosmic battle is always there. We're always fighting that. But the one I chose is the successful one. All right, let's read the rest of the story and see what happens.
In the 4th year of Hezekiah's reign, which was the 7th year of the reign of Hoshea,
Mhm.
son of Eliah, over Israel. Shalman, king of Assyria, marched against the Samaria and besieged it. At the end of 3 years, the Assyrians captured it.
Okay, this is part of what we kind of covered last week. This is the conquest of the Northern Kingdom.
So Samaria was captured in the 6th year of Hezekiah, which was the 9th year of Hoshea, king of Israel. The king of Assyria exiled the Israelites to Assyria and settled them in Hala, in Gozan.
Mhm.
By the Haber River, and in the cities of the Medes. This happened because they did not listen to the voice of the Lord their God, but violated his covenant. All that Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded, and would neither listen nor obey.
Yeah, so it's just retelling what happened with Assyria as they're overrunning the Northern Kingdom. And they're moving the people out, so they lose their national identity, the lost tribes. That Lori talked about a couple weeks ago. Move them out and brings other people in. And we read part of that story last week of what happens when they bring them in. And then one more verse here.
In the 14th year of Hezekiah's reign, Sennacherib, king of Syria, attacked and captured all the fortified cities of Judah. So Hezekiah, king of Judah, sent word to the king of Assyria at Lachish, saying, I have done wrong, withdraw from me, and I will pay whatever you demand from me.
Interesting that you read that since you raised that he had some doubts. So the 14th year of Hezekiah's reign is well after the Northern Kingdom's destroyed. So it's a couple of years after that. But Assyria is still on the march. They're still attacking, and now they're coming into the land of Judah, into even those fortified cities. And as you talked about, they're up to their neck. That's where they are now. They're up to their neck. Jerusalem is poking out, and that's where the king is. But they're really up to their neck with Assyria. And so Hezekiah says, look, I've not done anything against you, Assyria. So, you withdraw from me. You give me some breathing space, and I'll pay you whatever you
It says
do.
I have done wrong.
Oh, yes, I have done wrong. Yes,
Okay.
for whatever, yeah, you are correct. Again.
Clearly, we don't talk about this before we get here.
All right, I'm 0 for 2 today. I think y'all need a new teacher. Yeah, and I'll pay you whatever. In other words, I'm trying to appease you so that you'll go away. That's exactly what happens here. Okay, now we're going to switch over to Isaiah. We're going to pick up the story in Isaiah. And so this is in chapter 36, and this part is prose. It's not poetry like we've been reading in Isaiah, and this is almost identical to what's in 2 Kings. But there are a few little differences that we're going to point out. And Mike, I think I'm down here.
14th year of King Hezekiah's reign, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, attacked all the fortified cities of Judah and captured them. Then the king of Assyria sent his field commander with a large army from Lachish to King Hezekiah at Jerusalem. When the commander stopped at the aqueduct of the upper pool on the road to the Wanderer's Field, Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, went out to him.
Okay, I try to give you ones all with the good names. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. Yeah, you did really well with that. Yeah, it's hard for us to read these names. But let's point out a couple of them. So Sennacherib is now the king of Assyria. Shalmaneser was the one that conquered the northern kingdom. We read about him a minute ago. And then this is later, and Sennacherib is now the king of Assyria. And so he attacks all the fortified cities and captures them. He's moving in, getting closer and closer, to Jerusalem. And then he sends his commander and with a message for Hezekiah. And so Hezekiah sends out these three people. There's Eliakim, who's the palace administrator, Shebna the secretary, and Joha the recorder. So they went out to meet them and receive this message. And so they're outside the gates, right there at the gates of Jerusalem, up to their necks, and the commander comes with his army. So it's, it's a show of force. And then let's read what happens.
The commander said to them, "Tell Hezekiah, this is what the great king, the king of Assyria, said. On what are you basing this confidence of yours? You say you have counsel and might for the war, but you speak only empty words. On whom are you depending, that you rebel against me? Look, I know you are depending on Egypt, that splintered reed of a staff, which pierces the hand of anyone who leans on it. Such is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to all who depend on him."
This is a master class on how to destroy faith. And if you just pay attention to this paragraph and the ones that we read here in a second, watch how this commander, the second in command to Sennacherib, how he tries to destroy the confidence of the people, their faith in God. And this is what happens in the world. This is what happens when we're faced with a challenge. Doubts, advice, worldly counsel, all of those things, doubt, great doubt. And they force us into doing things that, rather than relying on God, we try to rely on our own power, exactly like Ahaz did. But watch how he does that. What are you basing this confidence of yours in? You think you're sure? Are you sure? Doesn't that sound like a serpent in the garden? You say you have counsel. Are they giving you good advice? Hear that doubt? And you have a might for war. If you see my army, you think you can stand up to that? On whom are you depending? Who are you relying on? Are they strong enough? Are they going to come to your aid? Are you relying on Egypt? If you lean on Egypt, they're going to pierce you. There's nothing there. It's just a splinter. Somebody pull up 31:1, Isaiah 31:1, and just read that first verse. I don't have a screen for it. I probably should have done that, but I didn't. Some of you quick Bible.
Woe
Thank
to those who go down to Egypt for help, who rely on horses, who trust in the multitude of their chariots, and in the great strength of their horsemen, that do not look to the Holy One of Israel, or seek help from the Lord.
Yeah, so this was a prophecy earlier about a reliance on these alliances. You're going to, and this was to Judah. You're going to rely on Egypt. Egypt's not reliable. And somehow Sennacherib's commander here knows this. And he says, you're going to rely on that alliance? They're not going to support you. More doubt. All right, let's keep reading, and we're going to see this masterclass continue.
But if you say to me, we trust in the Lord our God, he is not the one whose high places and altars Hezekiah has removed, saying to Judah and Jerusalem, you must worship before this altar.
Yeah, I don't think a commander quite understands the relationship with these people and Yahweh. He has a very pagan understanding. And he says, your king took all of these altars from all of these gods. You think they're going to be happy with you? No, they're not happy with you at all. And so it's not just me you're going to be fighting. You're going to be fighting against all these gods because you've offended them by taking down the Asherah poles and the other things. Okay, and then keep going here.
Come now, make a bargain with my master, the king of Assyria. I'll give you 2,000 horses if you can put riders on them. How then can you repulse one officer of the least of my master's officers. Even though you are depending on Egypt for chariots and horsemen. Furthermore, have I come to attack and destroy this land without the Lord? The Lord himself told me to march against this country and destroy it.
Several things in there. You know, I'll give you 2,000 horses. Do you even have men to ride 2,000 horses? No, you don't. You are so weak. How do you think you're going to stand up against this army that I have right out here? Even the least of the officials that have an army is going to defeat you. You have nothing. And you're still depending on Egypt and Cindy, I think you read that, right? 31:1. Yeah. And talked specifically about relying on the horsemen. No. Those are not dependable. They're not going to come to your aid. That's not going to help you here. And you think you're relying on the Lord? Didn't the Lord himself tell me to go into the northern kingdom and destroy them? Yes. It was the instrument God used to destroy the northern kingdom. You think he's going to have me stop now? You're up to your deck. You think I'm going to stop? No. No. Where's your faith? What are you depending on? Where's your counsel? What are you relying on? How strong is your faith? It's tested.
It gives you chills to see the faith that he has.
Yeah.
I mean, it does.
Yeah.
Then Hezekiah, Dibnah, and Joah said to the field commander, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, since we understand it. Don't speak to us in Hebrew in the hearing of the people on the wall. But the commander replied, was it only to your master and you that my master sent me to say these things, and not to the people sitting on the wall, who like you will have to eat their own excrement and drink their own urine?
Speaking in Aramaic, so it's just to us. So it's a message to the king, not to the people on the wall. He's destroying the confidence of the people in their leadership, in Hezekiah. So not only destroying their faith in God, but destroying whatever faith they would have in the king. And he just paints this picture. No, I'm going to speak in Hebrew because my message is for all of y'all. That's for you guys in Kentucky. It's for all y'all. Yeah. Yeah, I am doing everything I can to whittle away whatever faith or confidence you have, little by little, chip by chip, dig by dig, point by point. Let me finish up here.
Then the commander stood and called out in Hebrew, hear the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. This is what the king says. Do not let Hezekiah deceive you. He cannot deliver you. Do not let Hezekiah persuade you to trust in the Lord when he says, the Lord will surely deliver us. This city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria.
You think there's some erosion of confidence in the people? I love the way he starts that. The mighty king of Assyria. Don't trust this little king. You see the contrast? I have a whole army out here. You can't even get 2,000 horsemen. You're going to rely on the king? No, don't depend on him. No, he's trying to persuade you. He's not reliable. He's not reliable. It's a master class on how to destroy faith. I think we do have one or two more slides.
Do not listen to Hezekiah. This is what the king of Assyria says. Make peace with me and come out to me. Then each of you will eat fruit from your own vine and fig tree and drink water from your own cistern, until I come and take you to a land like your own, a land of grain and new wine, a land of bread and vineyards.
If you listen to Hezekiah, you'll be destroyed. But if you listen to the great king of Assyria, you're going to have this, you're going to sit on your own, have your own vine and sit on your own fig tree. It won't be here because I'm going to take you away, because that's the way what Assyria does. I'll take you away to another land, but it's your own. It's a promise of something better. Yeah. Trust me, Eve, that apple's tasty. It's exactly what you're, go ahead.
Well, isn't that can today's world?
Oh, yeah, of
I mean,
course,
with some social media and TV and
everything,
ads.
everything,
Everything.
everything. We're bombarded with this. Don't do what God wants you to do because there's something better. Don't do this because there's a cost to that. But if you do what the world says, you'll be better off, or you'll whatever. Yeah, it's the same message. That's why I brought in Eve. It's the same message from the garden. It's still there. Yeah, take a bite. It'll be good for you.
Do not let Hezekiah mislead you when he says, the Lord will deliver us. Have the gods of any nations ever delivered their lands from the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arcad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? Have they rescued Samaria from my hand? Who of all the gods of these countries have been able to save their land from me? How then can the Lord deliver Jerusalem from my hand?
I've talked about, what are you depending on? I've destroyed that. I've talked about your leadership. Destroyed that. Now let's look at some facts. Let's look at some facts from history. I have marched over every other land and every other god in those lands. And the king of Syria is still on the march. You're next. You're next. Can God possibly save you? History doesn't show that he could, because the king of Assyria marches on. Your king doesn't, because he's not truthful. He's not trustworthy. He's lying to you. And the gods you displaced, they're mad at you too. It's all going to come on you. So are you going to surrender and sit under have your own vine and sit under your own fig tree? Or are you going to rely on Yahweh? Whew.
How do you think that this guy knew Hebrew?
I don't know. My guess is that he's learned. They're learning about the countries that they're going to conquer, and I don't know. It's an interesting question, though, but I'm not prepared to answer it. All right, one more verse.
But the people remained silent and said nothing in reply, because the king had commanded, do not answer him. Then Eliakim, son of Hilkiah, the palace administrator, Shebna, the secretary, and Joah, son of Asaph, the recorder, went to Hezekiah with the close cord, told him what the field commander had said.
He had great restraint.
Incredible restraint.
I could learn from that.
We all learn from that. Yeah, do not answer him. Yeah. Just hear what he has to say. Let him say it. Okay. So they hear it all. He's got a recorder. So they recorded the message down. Now they're going to take it to Hezekiah. And it cuts them to the heart. So their immediate response is to do what you do in the Old Testament. You tear your garment. As a sign of I don't know, repentance,
Grief.
I'm in grief, I'm in despair. But they understand the situation. What that commander lays out is a daunting picture. Yes, Assyria is strong. Yes, Judah is weak. Yes, they're up to their necks. Yes, there's this promise of you will still survive under your fig tree. It's going to be another country, but you'll still survive. There's a promise of that, or there's almost certain annihilation. That's the choice they have. I'm in grief from that. All right, on to 37.
When King Hezekiah heard this, he tore his clothes and put on sackcloth and went into the temple of the Lord. Then he sent Eliakim, the palace administrator, Shebna the secretary, and the leading priests, all wearing sackcloth, to the prophet Isaiah, son of Amoz. They told him, this is what Hezekiah says. This day is a day of distress and rebuke and disgrace. as when children come to the moment of birth and there is no strength to deliver them.
He's, well, let me ask the question rather than answer it. What is Hezekiah's reaction?
He goes to the Lord.
Right? Well, has he done that yet?
It says,
still tore
I
his
went
clothes.
into.
I went
the
into the, okay, you
temple of
did,
the Lord.
okay. All right, you're reading more than I read.
To the temple.
He still tore his clothes too and put on.
Yeah, he's under that same thing. What do you make of that last statement?
He's, the enemy has done everything, said everything he could to destroy any confidence they could possibly have.
And they also know they're no match.
Yeah. They're
They
not a
know
match.
it.
No, they're not militarily, they will lose. No match at all. What do you call it when a baby's born?
Birth,
Huh?
birth,
Birth. Birth, well, yeah, but, you know, well, yeah, I guess you do birth a baby, but you
Deliver.
delivers the word I'm looking for.
deliver.
Yeah. They're waiting for deliverance from God. And this expression is, I just think it's one of these expressions you read, and you think about it a little bit, it's like, wow, that really gets it. I'm there, but there's no strength to deliver.
No.
We are defeated. We are doomed. There's no hope. There's no strength here. We are doomed. But he goes into the temple and he goes in with that, you kind of feel his heart in that expression. Let's read the next one.
It may be that the Lord your God will hear the words of the field commander, whom his master, this king of Assyria, has set to ridicule the living God, and that he will rebuke him for the words the Lord your God has heard. Therefore, pray for the remnant that still survives.
What's he admitting?
Can't do it anymore by
Yeah.
himself.
Yeah. Oh, no,
Let's
he
make him
knows,
back,
he knows
yeah.
he can't. Yeah.
Let's make him to pass.
Why isn't he praying for victory?
I think he's humbling himself before the Lord and just wants to survive. Yeah,
He kind of says that.
yeah,
He says, just pray that some of us will survive.
yeah.
You know, I don't know what's going to happen. It doesn't look good. But just pray that some of these people of God, these chosen people, this nation, pray that some of them survive. Pray for the remnant.
Mhm.
I think he's up against a wall and he says, I don't see a way out of this situation. I don't have a lot of hope. I still have faith, but I don't have a lot of hope. It doesn't look good. Next.
When King Hazaeliah officials came to Isaiah said to them, tell your master, this is what the Lord says. Do not be afraid of what you have heard. Those words with which the underlings of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Listen, when he hears a certain report, I will make him want to return to his own country, and there I will have him cut down with the sword. When the field commander heard that the king of Assyria had left Lachish, he withdrew and found the king fighting against Libnah.
Okay, let me hit that last little paragraph first. So the commander goes back and there's another threat. There's another threat on the horizon for them. And so he withdraws from Judah, from Jerusalem area, and then goes fight that other battle. It's like there's a pause in the immediate threat. And he does that because I got a bigger fish to fry. I got to take care of this people over here first, and then I'll come back. What I highlighted there is, do not be afraid. Do we ever read that in scripture?
Over and over and
Isaiah
over.
and
Why
over.
is that? Why do you think that is? Why is God always telling us not to be afraid?
Because he's with you, he's with us.
Yeah.
Emmanuel,
And I
he's
think
with
we're all
us.
fearful.
To
Yeah.
remind
You
you.
don't trust.
Yeah, yeah. Fear is natural. I think it's just part of our nature because we don't know what's going to happen next. We want certain things to
Yeah.
happen, but we don't know. And that not knowing brings anxiety. That not knowing brings fear. That not knowing keeps us up late at night in the dark. We talked about last week. Don't be afraid. I got this one. And then I love the way, God is in control. That's what our faith's about. It's not the circumstance or the outcome. It's God is in control. I will make him. I will have him. I am in control of the situation, Hezekiah. I will do these things. I'm not relying on you, Hezekiah, to defeat him. I will handle this. I will do this. Have faith in me as the God of the universe to control the situation. And I think that's the message that Isaiah brings in. Next.
Oh boy. Now Sennacherib received a report that Tirhakah, the king of Cush, was marching out to fight against him. When he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah with this word: Say to Hezekiah, king of Judah, do not let the God you depend on deceive you, when he says Jerusalem will not be given into the hands of the king of Assyria.
Yeah, so Sennacherib, goes to fight this other battle. He's got this bigger fish. He's got to fry that, but he makes sure he sends a message back. Don't think that's God intervening. This is just a detour I have to take care of. Okay, then we need another verse here. I think we're back to you.
Surely you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the countries, destroying them completely. And will you be delivered? Did the gods of the nations that were destroyed by my predecessors deliver them? The gods of Gozan, Hara, Brisbeth, and the people of Eden who are in Tel Assar? Where is the king of Hamath or the king of Arpad? Where are the kings of Lair, Saravim, Hena, and Iva?
Who's this message for?
Hezekiah.
Yeah, it's part of the message from the verse before. He's sending this message back. Don't think that because there's a delay here that I've forgotten about Jerusalem. And also keep in mind, I have marched through the lands. And I have destroyed. I've gone against these lands and their gods, and I have destroyed one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. I am coming for you too. You still have confidence? Don't think it's God that's protecting you for the moment. I just got this other battle I got to deal with. But I'm coming back. And I'm coming back with a vengeance. So let's recap. We read that he said an appeasement. I've done you wrong. Here's some money. Leave us alone. Sennacherib sends his general mocking God and raising doubts about their faith. We read that. And then Sennacherib defers momentarily. I got a bigger fish, got to fry that one. Then I'll come back for you. But he does send this message. We are strong. We have defeated all these other kingdoms, and you are in our sights. So that's the message to Hezekiah. Now, it's interesting because when Hezekiah gets this second message, it is, forgive me, Marla, but I didn't pick yours, but this is one of the most beautiful prayers, I think, in the Bible that we read. And so we'll just read it.
Hezekiah received a letter from the messengers and read it. Then he went up to the temple of the Lord and spread it out before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed to the Lord, Lord Almighty, the God of Israel, enthroned between the cherub. You alone are God over all the kingdoms of the earth. You have made heaven and earth. Give ear, Lord, and hear. Open your eyes, Lord, and see. Listen to all the words Sennacherib has sent to ridicule the living God.
So he receives the letter and he reads it. We already gone to the temple. We already heard that little prayer. And the impression, at least that I got from that, is he does not think he'll be successful. He does not think he has the strength to fight it. He thinks he's praying for a remnant that remains. Hopefully some of us survive. Hopefully there will be a remnant. And he gets this message and it's too much. It's just too much. And so he takes that message and he spreads it out. I'm giving this to you. We talk about going to the foot of the cross, right? I'm going to spread this out. This is too much for me.
Yeah.
I hit the end. I know I don't have strength. I know I don't have a chance here. But I'm going to spread this out. I'm going to give this one to you. And it's just a beautiful image of just laying it out before the Lord, whatever our concern is. And he opens his prayer and says, Lord Almighty, God of Israel, enthroned between the cherubim. What does that mean?
Ark of Covenant.
The mercy seat.
The mercy seat.
There you go. It's the Ark of the Covenant. It's the mercy seat, the cherubim on top. You who are enthroned on that seat of mercy, have mercy. I just think it's a beautiful image of going. And we have that image when we go to the cross.
Take a moment.
Take a moment. Sorry, Mom. We have that moment when we go to the cross. When we lay out our life and say, I can't do this anymore. I'm at my wit's end. I'm at the end of this situation. I'm at the end of this circumstance. I can't do it anymore. Have mercy. And we go before that mercy seat. And God is there free to give that mercy to us. Oh, it's just beautiful. The image is just beautiful. Give ear, O Lord, open your eyes and see. We heard those verbs before in Isaiah. Yeah. Listen to what he has said. Listen to how he's defamed you. It's beautiful. He goes on.
It is true, Lord, that the Assyrian kings have laid waste to all these peoples and their lands. They have thrown their gods into the fire and destroyed them, for they were not gods, but only wood and stone fashioned by human hands. Now, Lord our God, deliver us from his hand, so that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you, Lord, are the only God.
Here's the facts. This is what I know. Yeah, they have laid waste to everybody. They are strong, they are powerful. And they are taunting us. They are threatening us. We want to lay this out before you.
Actually, they're threatening God. They're taunting God.
Yeah, yeah,
And God would not be mocked.
yeah. And so that's what he prays for. So rise up, defend your name, and let them know that you are in control. You are God. It's a beautiful prayer. It's a beautiful prayer of faith when you're back against the wall. I don't know if Moses prayed before he went into the Red Sea, but they were backed up against the wall there too, right?
David and Goliath. David and Goliath.
David and Goliath.
Yeah.
He's kind of surrendering too in that prayer, right?
Yeah, which is once we get ourselves out of the way. And that's the hard part.
And he realizes he cannot control it anymore, so he has to surrender.
That's all I can do.
Right.
He's so unlike his father, Ahaz,
Yeah.
didn't want to bother God, didn't want to ask for help. Pride goes before the fall, but this guy is humbling himself, bearing it all
Control
out.
rather than surrender.
Yeah.
It is a foxhole prayer.
It is a foxhole prayer.
Yeah.
That's a good, yeah.
Well,
And-
you shouldn't have to come to that, but it does.
But yeah. But there he is. He lays it out. He just lays it out before God and surrenders it all, as you've said. Yeah. I'm in the foxhole, and it's either you help me or it's over. Which is kind of what you do in a foxhole. All right, we're going to complete this here in a sec.
Then Isaiah, son of Amos, sent a message to Hezekiah. This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Because you have prayed to me concerning Sennacherib, king of Assyria, this is the word the Lord has spoken against him.
Okay, so Isaiah is going to enter back into the story, and this is the message that Isaiah has for him.
Virgin daughter Zion despises and mocks you. Daughter Jerusalem tosses her head as you flee. Who is it you have ridiculed and blasphemed? Against whom have you raised your voice and lifted your eyes in pride? Against the Holy One of Israel.
My note says, daughter Jay's got some attitude. Daughter Jay tosses her head as you flee. Who is it you've ridiculed? Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know this is, Almighty God, the Holy One of Israel? It is not going to go well. Isaiah's message back is a triumphant message. God will deliver. You might be at the point of weakness where you can't deliver, but God will deliver. And that's the message that he has. And that image of, and you will mock him. You think he's strong now? No. God is so much stronger. And when they're defeated, you will mock them. It's a great answer that Isaiah has for him. And now this is God's message back. I think this is where I am. Yeah, this is a really, really neat little dialogue as well. This is a message to the Assyrian king.
By your messengers, you have ridiculed the Lord, and you have said, with my many chariots, I have ascended the heights of the mountains, the utmost heights of Lebanon. I have cut down its tallest cedars, the choice of its junipers. I have reached its remotest heights, the finest of its forests.
So God's telling the king of Assyria, this is what you've said. This is your boast. This is who you think you are. With my chariots, and I have ascended, and I have cut down, and I have reached, and it goes on. I have dug wells, and I have dried up the streams of Egypt. Oh, have you? Is that what's happened here, king of Assyria, Sennacherib? You've done all of that with your power and your strength? Let me tell you something. Have you not heard long ago, I ordained it. In the days of old, I planned it. And now I have brought it to pass that you have turned fortified cities into a pile of stones. Don't think so highly of yourself. I am in control. Yes, you're mighty because I've allowed it. Yes, you walked over these cities because I've allowed it to pass. And he goes on. And their people drained of power are dismayed and shamed. They're like plants in the field, like tender green shoots, grass sprouting on the roof, scorched before it grows up. But I know where you are, and I know when you come and go, and how you rage against me. Boy, it's going to be a takedown. And that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, it's just, when you read that language, God's explaining exactly what the situation is. You think you're all that? I'm all that. And you're going down. There's a little attitude there. It's kind of fun. I don't know where we are, but I'll let you read the rest of these. I got excited there for a minute.
Because you rage against me, and because your insolence has reached my ears, I will put my hook in your nose and my bit in your mouth, and I will make you return by the way you came.
Right.
Wow.
An ox, right?
Yeah, wow.
And then the horse, the bit in the mouth. Yeah, I will make you go back. I will do this. I'm in control. Oh man, God's powerful. And says it.
This will be a sign for you, Hezekiah. This year you will eat what grows by itself, and the second year what springs from that. But in the third year, sow and reap, plant vineyards and eat their fruit. Once more, a remnant of the kingdom of Judah will take root below and bear fruit above.
Remember his first prayer? Pray that a remnant will survive.
Yeah.
And here's the answer to that prayer.
Yeah.
In a very short time. It's a sign, just like the sign of the virgin giving birth for Ahaz. It's a sign in a very short time. Yeah, that remnant will take root and bear fruit. Yeah, in a very short time. This is going to happen.
For out of Jerusalem will come a remnant, and out of Mount Zion, a band of survivors. The zeal of the Lord Almighty will accomplish this.
I know you're outgunned. I know you're outmatched.
Yeah.
I know you're up against the wall. I am going to accomplish this. I'm in control. You have faith in me. Rightfully so. I will make this happen. I will accomplish this. Okay, couple more.
Therefore, this is what the Lord says concerning the king of Assyria. He will not enter the city to shoot an arrow here. He will not come before it with shield to build a siege ramp against it. By the way that he came, he will return. He will not enter the city, declares the Lord.
And one more.
I will defend the city and save it for my sake, for the sake of David, my servant.
Yeah. Isaiah reminds us that we don't have faith in the outcome, but have faith in the person who controls the outcome. And here he's reminding Hezekiah, I'm in control here. You're okay. I will defend the city. You're safe. Beautiful answer to a prayer. And a beautiful response when we lay it out before God and surrender ourselves and allow God to have control. And in this case, God answered it and protected the city. Okay, another quiz. What are the differences in the circumstances between Ahaz and Hezekiah?
As I just said a little minute. Ahaz, he would not surrender to the Lord, would not ask for help.
Yeah.
Very prideful,
Mhm.
didn't even recognize God at all.
Right.
And Hezekiah is the opposite.
Yeah.
He surrendered
Right.
and asked for help.
Yeah.
Knew.
That's an A+ answer.
Yeah, thank you.
You get a star.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you can clean the chalkboard when we're done here. What was different about their approaches to those circumstances? I think that maybe that's the same answer for this one, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Well, would you say there's circumstances that Hezekiah's faced more pressure
Yeah.
And
than
why?
Ahaz?
And why?
Well, I mean, they're having dialogue and he's telling him, I'm gonna come for you.
Yeah.
So I mean, it seems like, Hezekiah even had more to worry about.
Yeah.
And,
Assyria was a distant threat to Ahaz. It's up to their necks.
Right.
Someone
Mhm.
described with Hezekiah. Yeah. 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 So even more opportunity to lose faith, and yet he remains faithful. And then what lessons do you draw for yourself as you face or will face uncertainty in your life? Is there any message in this tale of the two kings that you could
Just
take?
trust in the Lord always.
Yeah.
And when you
Even when you're
surrender, when you
doubtful.
give it to the Lord, don't take it back. As we do.
Oh, come on.
You too?
I can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, this is where I think this particular lesson, and there's a lot of history here, right? There's a lot of things that are happening and there's little nuances that we tried to point out as we went. But it really comes down to this element of faith and obedience where we started this conversation. Obedience is okay. You can, most of us live a pretty decent life and we're obedient most of the time. That seems fairly easy for me now. Less so when I was a younger person. The faith part is the one that's the real challenge. And it's fine when everything's good to have faith. But when you're up against the wall, that's where faith is really tested. And do we have faith in the God who loves us and controls things? And have faith in that outcome, whatever it is. It's okay. It's okay. I've surrendered it. It's okay. God's in control of it. I've let go of that. And that to me is where I hope to continue to grow in that in the years I have left.
I have to do that really with the country and with politics and that kind of thing. Remember, God's in control,
Mhm.
you know. Those yahoos in Washington can do what they want,
That's right.
you know,
But God is in
but
control.
God's in
Yeah.
control.
That's the end thing, end
You
game.
know, he's not gonna let anything happen that isn't in his plan.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And if you cling to this life,
Yeah.
give up the next.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna close with this. We were babysitting the grandkids and I was reading books to one of them, and one of the little kids one of the grandkids grabbed a book and took it into Tim. And this was the book. Seth Godin's All Marketers Tell Stories. Now, both our daughter and son-in-law both are in sales. So having a marketing book, okay. In the children's book section. In the children's book section, train them up in the way they should go, right?
Right.
But they're reading those, and so Cindy said, go put this on this other bookshelf where it should go. And so I'm walking back and I'm thumbing through it. I'm working on this study at the time I'm doing this. This is one of these God things. And I'm looking at it, I'm trying to understand that whole section where Hezekiah, the Assyrian commander-in-chief, is talking for the city and raising all of the doubts and all of the things, and this will be better for you if you do it this way. He has this quote in here. Remember that the best stories promise to fulfill the wishes of the consumer's worldview. Right? The best stories tell us what we want to hear. The best stories offer us a shortcut or a miracle or whatever this list of things that he has in here. That's what an advertiser does. He tells a story so that we think our need will be satisfied
Right,
here.
exactly.
Or that we have a need we didn't know about.
Hope in a product.
Yeah. If only we take that magic pill, or only we do this latest fad, or only we cling to our abilities, like Ahaz. That's what they sell. But Ahaz did that, and he was desperate for peace. He was desperate for security. He was desperate for confidence, and he had none of that. But Hezekiah came to know that he was not a match for the Assyrians. He's a little nation against a cruel and unrelenting foe. And what he did understand was all he could do, the only thing he had, the only power he had, was to lay it out before God and trust God to do with what God would do with that. And that's what he did. That's what true faith is. And he could get up from that floor and he can walk in peace, and he's secure in his relationship to God, a God who's proven his faithfulness. And he could walk in confidence and in obedience with God because of that. And this is how I'm going to close this. Because someone said it, we fear all the time. It's our nature. Do not be afraid. God continues to tell us in Scripture, do not be afraid, do not be afraid, do not be afraid. And yet we are. We're afraid because we can't control the future. We don't have faith in we don't have control of the future. And that scares us. And this is a real common verse from Philippians 4:5. Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Lay it out before God. But what I didn't, and I just noticed this when I wanted to close with this because that's a familiar verse and we all know that. The Lord is near. That's what starts that. That's why we don't have to be anxious, because we're not doing this ourselves. We're not in this ourselves. The Lord's right here. And I think that's just a great reminder. And so I think we'll close there.
Thank you for this.
So up here.